The purpose of these lectures is not to summarize the chapters that you're reading, but instead to enhance what you're reading and provide some practical examples to what you're covering in the book. So when we look at Chapter 1, we're looking at just an introduction to training and development. An issue with training and development is that companies often don't see the results from investing capital into these programs right away, compared to if they spent that money building a new facility, they would see those results quicker, and it's easier to determine how effective that was. That is something that can be difficult with training and development, and I think sometimes why companies are hesitant to invest so much money in training and development programs. So when we think about training, what is training? Well, really it's a planned effort by a company to facilitate employees' learning of job-related competencies. Now, the point's not to teach you information or knowledge that isn't practical to your job, but so that you learn more skills and traits associated with that job and makes you a better employee. So the whole intent is that you become a master of your job and you know the ins and outs of it. And through training that can be accomplished. It does give companies a competitive advantage because you have more skilled employees who feel valued and who feel that the company values what they bring to the table and is willing to invest in that. In doing so, you're more likely to keep good employees, and at the same time, it forces you as an employee to continuously learn. You guys will realize pretty quickly once you're out in the workplace, the learning does not end. You will continue to learn on your job, learn new skills, new traits throughout your entire career. And what it'll do, it'll make you a better employee, a more marketable employee, and it'll make the company better because they will have a stronger workforce. At the heart of any training and development program is a training design process, the thought process that goes into creating these training programs. Here's an example of a training design process that's included in your book. It's sometimes called the ADDIE model because it includes an analysis, includes design, development, implementation, and evaluation. If you notice that the titles of each of these steps aligns with the book, and we will spend time looking at each of these and looking at the role each of these plays in the whole design process and going into designing training and development programs. It needs to be stiff but somewhat flexible to apply to different businesses and different environments, but it is a good starting point as far as training and design processes go. The training design is only effective if the pre-designed objectives are met, and we can show that the employee actually learned. That is measurable. Think of this class. At the end of the semester, I need to be able to show that by taking this class, this is what you learned. So as you will see throughout this book, there are a lot of ties to education as far as training and development go, and where with the use of tests, the use of different assessments to ensure that learning is occurring. Next, let's take a look at some of the forces that influence working and learning. When we think about economic cycles and the impact that that has on a company, do you think when economic times are bad that training and development is one of the first things to go? I'm sure it is. And they look for other ways to streamline their business and make it more effective, which can really hurt training and development. But also what it does is it allows companies to see what functions are critical for supporting their business strategy and what has to be in place in order for them to be successful. The business landscape is changing. We are in a global economy where what happens in China has an impact on us. This also does impact training and development, as we are no longer just training employees in America. Many companies are actually global and have employees throughout the world and have to create training and development programs that can impact all of their employees. And they also have to create these cross-cultural training programs that meets the needs of all their employees, no matter where they live or what position they're going to take. And it's certainly changing how companies go about developing their training and development programs. Next, we have the increased value placed on intangible assets and human capital. So when we think about that, we think of human capital, customer capital, social capital, and intellectual capital, and it is changing the way in which businesses go about conducting their daily business. When you have a need for these knowledgeable workers who have certain knowledge, certain skills that aren't easily replaceable, and you want to make sure that you keep these employees, but you also train them so that they can adapt with the changing world and the changing technology, which is really important to stay ahead. Imagine a company like Google and the amount of training they have to provide their employees to stay ahead of technological changes. Now let's look at talent management. When we think about companies, those companies that are successful are the ones that oftentimes have the best talent. No different than sports, the best basketball teams, football teams usually are the teams with the best talent. Same goes for the workplace. And in order to keep that talent, you need to provide them training. You need to provide them with opportunities to enhance their ability and keep them sharp and keep them engaged in their work and excited to come in on a daily basis. When you look at the top companies in the world, usually they have really good training and development programs and also good work environments where employees are excited to come in and feel like they are a valued component of that company. The book talks about a few different customer service and quality emphasis programs, such as the Total Quality Management, the Malcolm Baldrige National Quality Award, and the Six Sigma process, and the value that customer service has in training employees to be excellent at customer service. I was reading an article yesterday on Chick-fil-A talking about their process in hiring or selecting new owners. It only costs $10,000 to open up a Chick-fil-A. Compare that to McDonald's, which I think is around $1 million, is very little. But in doing so, they'll get 3,000 or 4,000 applicants a year and select 70 or 80 to open these businesses. And as you read through this article, you get a sense of what makes Chick-fil-A so effective is their customer service. If you've been to Chick-fil-A before, you know that they're always nice, friendly, polite, and compare that to other fast food environments where you don't get that same level of worker. So how does Chick-fil-A do it? Well, they spend a lot of time in the hiring process to make sure that they get the top people from the start. They have a 3 or 4 step interview process, and they try to weed out people that don't fit that. But they also provide a lot of training on exactly how they want you to treat the customer. So if you go in there, you know you are going to be treated with respect, and they're going to do everything in their power to make sure you have a great experience. And it works for them, and it's a reason why so many people would say, I won't eat fast food, but I would go to Chick-fil-A. So they've done a really good job with their customer service and making sure that it is extraordinary and makes people feel warm and welcoming when they come in there. One could argue that the greatest impact on society has been new technology. And I could make that same argument for training and development, and it is truly changing how training and development is being delivered. We no longer need to have training and development programs that go out to different sites and put on shows. Now you can go online, log in, and take courses at your own speed when you want to from your location. It reduces traveling costs, it reduces the number of employees that are needed, and it also provides greater accessibility for everybody to these different training and development programs. When I was buying a car maybe a year and a half ago, the salesman next to me, when he had no customers, was on his computer completing a training and development program on a specific car. And here he's at work. He didn't have to go sit in a huge meeting or have this classroom and talk about it. He was able to do it on his own time and actually complete it and get it done. The good thing also is with technology we can track who's doing what and when they're doing it, just like with our Canvas here, where I can track how many hours people spend on campus or on Canvas, what they're doing on there. The same way with these training and development programs. It can keep scores. It can tell you exactly what an employee is doing and when they're doing it, and it gives companies another alternative or another avenue to get training and development across. Plus, it allows them to create a more individualized approach. Instead of having a classroom with 200 people that had the same training and development program, now they can individualize it more to different jobs, different peoples, different work environments. The last force we're going to look at is high performance work systems, and what this is the blending of technology and humans in the work process, in the assembly process, and how companies go about doing this, and the idea that you're going to have these highly skilled individuals that have to work together to complete a product or provide a service. So one way of aiding in this process is through cross-training, where one employee learns more than one job and can move around, which is good for the company because it provides more flexibility, but it's also good for the employee because they're not stuck doing the same job every single day. My dad works for Quaker Oats and at the plant that makes granola bars, and there are people that have been there for 40 years that have pretty much done the same job every day, and I can't imagine how boring or old that would get after even a week. Imagine doing it for 30 or 40 years. So through cross-training, that's one way to kind of allow employees to try different things. The other thing is the virtual teams, whereas as we talked with globalization, a company is no longer headquartered in one town and have all its employees there. They may be throughout the world, but they still need to work together, and with virtual teams they can do that. It is important with these high-performance models that companies are aware of what skills are needed and actually design programs around them and make sure that the humans get the workers get the experience they need and the knowledge they need to be successful working not only with other employees but also with the technology. I want to wrap this lecture up with some trends in training and development, and as we can see here that initially their companies are not spending any more money necessarily on training and development than they have in the past few years. There is an increase in specialized learning. When you think about it, think about how specialized some jobs are and the learning that is associated with that. We're also seeing a rise in the use of technology to deliver training and development. I think we will continue to see that as more and more companies go to using different technologies to actually implement different training and development programs. As of now, most companies still use or have their own training and development programs, but that is also changing a little bit as companies are beginning to outsource that and have other companies that their sole purpose is to design training and development programs come in and fill that need. If you look here on campus, we have the Instructional Design and Technology Department, and you can get a degree in instructional design where you actually go out and create online learning environments and training and development programs. So that field is expanding as there are more and more opportunities available in that. It is something that we will talk about later in the semester as well. It is important to note that any training and development program cannot simply be created and then just left alone. There needs to be a continuous effort to enhance that and to change it with the times as the company changes, as technology changes, as employees change. And we'll have the opportunity to look at how each of those impact a training and development program.